morning, everybody. Judea Hartley here. Welcome back to the one and only AM show. Happy Tuesday once again. Now, you guys, I am super excited. I'm incredibly stoked for today's incredible guest, which we teased at the top of the show. She is a somatic nervous system mentor, and I have been following her content for quite some time now. It has been a prominent source of healing for me. So, you guys, I can't contain the excitement. Without further ado, would you show your love to my new friend, Miss Lauren Zoeller?
Hi, it's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
So I'm so happy that you carved out time from your busy schedule to join us via Zoom right here at the AM show. So before we just get into today's interview, I just had to tell you how grateful I am. Thank you so much. You are serving as a massive agent of change to your audience and your constituents, and I absolutely fell in love with your content, and I knew that when your content started really helping me on my healing journey, I just knew, girl, that I had to have you on the show. So with all of that being said, I'd like to dive right into the meat of the sandwich. Now, Lauren, you are a somatic and nervous system mentor. Okay, so Lauren, I have never, ever heard of that specific, I love it, but I've never heard of that specific unique title before I started following your content. So I want you to define what that is for all of our brothers and sisters who may not know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me here. I am so honored to be able to speak and really give people some information on what somatic and nervous system work actually is. So many people have gone to traditional therapy. They've gone to talk therapy. They've talked about their problems. And what we don't realize is that talking about our problems is a wonderful tool, but it only addresses 20% of transformation in our lives, because there's another 80% from the neck down that is the nervous system. It is the way that our body responds to things that have happened to us in the past. And most people have never experienced nervous system work and nervous system regulation before. So as a nervous system mentor, what I'm doing is I'm bridging the gap between all of this work that you've probably done in therapy, identifying your problems, and how does this show up in the body? How can we start to shift what's happening internally to match all of this beautiful cognitive work that you've done so that you can actually start to shift your triggers and shift the way that you heal from a full body perspective?
Wow. Okay, wait. So that was, oh my goodness, that was a mouthful right there. So you mentioned you sort of serving as the liaison between the work you've done in therapy and your body's responses. So in practicality, what are some of the things that we need to shift? Like, how can we shift some of our triggers? If you can go a little bit deeper into that for me.
Yeah, well, the first thing is that you have to understand what I call the language of your nervous system, okay? So the nervous system doesn't actually speak in story. So that story that you have been calling your therapist and word vomiting over and over again about all of these things that have happened to you in the past, your nervous system doesn't actually speak in that language. Your nervous system speaks in sensation and emotion. So what this means, let's say as a young child, you were taught that crying wasn't okay. If you would have a big emotion, your father would tell you, go to your room. You can't feel that. We don't cry. Or boys don't cry. We hear this all the time. What happens is that inside of your nervous system, your body conditioned itself to have a response to shut down emotions, because if you cried, then dad could potentially think that you're weak.
Yeah.
What happens, you become an adult, you quit crying. You go into this, what we call the freeze survival response. You freeze and shut down your emotions because it never felt safe to emote as a child. So what I do as a nervous system mentor is we start to look at, okay, where are these survival responses showing up in your body? Where did you learn that it wasn't okay to cry? Where did you learn that it wasn't okay to emote anger? Where did you learn that it wasn't okay to be in sadness and to really feel all of these emotions? We go into the survival responses surrounding these big emotions, and we start to break them down so that you can start to feel what you haven't been able to feel in probably 20, 30, 40 years.
Wow. Okay. So wait, that's fascinating. So in my mind, Lauren, that is like therapy in the physical sense. In my
Yes.
like it's the physicality of therapy. It really is, because you have your emotions, but now let's pay attention to your body. Your body is actually communicating with you. I want to know, because I know that I struggle with this, and I have struggled with this in the past, where I become anxious or I become angry, or it's almost like fight or flight. Lauren, I can feel my body responding that way when I am around certain people, or when I'm put in certain scenarios. How do I address and then avoid that?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I will say is that working with a nervous system mentor, working with a somatic therapist, working with someone who really is trained in what we call somatic therapy and somatic experiencing is going to be your best bet, because we are trained as practitioners to track what is happening in your body. And we enter in what's called a counter vortex. And these are really fancy words, but we are trained to help you renegotiate these responses so that anxiety doesn't feel like it's your baseline all of the time. However, you can start to do some things on your own to mitigate some of this anxious feeling that you have inside of your system in a moment-to-moment basis. What I always tell people to do when you are feeling anxious, this is a great tool. And I know that this is a little funky, so you may have to remove yourself if you're in a crowd of people. Go to the bathroom, just hang out there for five minutes. You're going to take one hand to your forehead, and you're going to take one hand to the back of your brainstem. And I want you to just notice what happens inside of your body when you do this.
I feel calm. Steady. I feel a little tense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may feel like you're shifting down a little bit, like your gears are shifting down. Okay. That one little tiny exercise stimulates what's called the vagus nerve at the base of your spine and sends a signal to your body that you're safe.
Wow.
That it's okay to be here. So you can do little tiny things like that in the moment to help you decrease anxiety. But for long-term results, working with a somatic practitioner and really getting to the bottom and to the root of some of these survival responses, these fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses, that's what's going to give you lasting change over time, is to really work with a practitioner long-term.
Wow, I see. I love educating myself and other people in regards to wellness, because oftentimes I find we have this short-end, cheap, confined definition of what it is, of what it looks like to take care of our health. And this is why you have to study, because there's so many other things you can do to really address how every part of you is feeling, in addition to going to therapy. Now, Lauren, with all that being said, you say on your Instagram, you mentioned that people in our lives affect our nervous system and our overall health. Be careful who you surround yourself around. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So it's interesting because you were just speaking about having a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
If you notice the people that are around you at any given moment, if you start to notice that they take you into an anxious state, or you feel like you freeze and clam up around them, or you feel a lot of anger and rage whenever they're around, this is a really good sign that your nervous system is in some sort of survival response when you are around these types of people. And here's what we know about the nervous system. When our body goes into a survival state, all of our primary functions shut down. Hormone production shuts down. Our ability to think cognitively shuts down. our digestion shuts down. And all we're doing when we're in a survival response is trying to survive.
Yeah.
So if you surround yourself with people all of the time who are constantly keeping you in a survival state, it is going to affect your health, because your optimal function as a human inside of your body, your digestion, your hormone production, your immunity, it's all being shut down because the only thing your body is trying to do is survive. So over time, if you find yourself in this state of anxiety, of anger, of shutdown, you are going to start to have long-term health effects because your body is not in a state of being able to function properly. So this is why you need to remove people that keep your nervous system in a heightened state.
Yes! Yes, Lauren. Oh,
Yes.
my goodness. I'm just going to have a real moment here, girl. Lauren, before I found your page, I thought I was crazy. I got to be honest. Lauren, I thought I was crazy because I'm like, why do I always feel anxious around you? Why do I feel always defensive around you? Why do I feel like I have to fight you even before you approach me? Like, why do I feel unsafe, angry around you? Why do I feel like I have to be this overly, ridiculously nice girl just so you can convey and provide the bare minimum of kindness to me? I've been there. Oh my goodness, I just felt like I had an epitome. It's like I got lighter. I just feel like, because it's true. I'm like, no. So Lauren, you are absolutely right. When people say pay attention to how your body feels around certain people, you guys, they are not just saying that for glamorization. They're not just trying to glamorize that or trying to get more likes and views on Instagram. No, that's real. You really got to pay attention in regards to the way that your body responds when you are around certain folks. And I'm like, no, I am not that girl completely, because when I get around other people, Lauren, I'm calm and I feel safe and I feel relaxed. I feel relaxed, like I don't have to put on.
Exactly. And those are the people that you need to surround yourself with, because when you surround yourself with people who do make you feel safe, then everything in your life starts to shift as a result of that. Right? Because everything that we want for ourselves, it's all a reflection of how safe we feel inside of our nervous system.
Yeah.
And so if we're not in a space of safety as our primary baseline, we're probably waking up and not really loving the life that we're in.
Oh, and I want to talk about that. I love that, waking up not really loving the life that we're in. Lauren, how do we begin to love and create the life that we want?
Yeah. Well, we've been talking a lot about the nervous system, and I always tell people it tends to be the missing piece. Most of the women and men that make their way to me, they've done years of traditional talk therapy, but they haven't looked at their nervous system. They don't even know what safety feels like in their body. So how can we create a life that feels really beautiful and aligned and safe if we don't even know what that actually feels like? So the first step is to start getting really curious around how your body feels on a moment-to-moment basis. And can you start to get curious? If you're not feeling a sense of peace, a sense of calm, a sense of connectedness, a sense of ease in your life as your primary baseline, this is probably giving you a really deep clue that your nervous system isn't operating out of a sense of safety, and we've got to go into that. We've got to get curious about it. We've got to start shifting that so that you can start to create a life that is full of peace and safety and ease.
I love this. Oh God, you are doing such great work with individuals, because people weren't educated about this in school.
No.
We really weren't. And that's why we need folks like you. When did you realize you wanted to be a somatic and nervous system mentor? What pivotal point in your life were you deciding for yourself, okay, this is what this is, and this is how I want to help other people?
Yeah. So I had a pretty big turning point in my life about 5.5 years ago. I had been going to traditional talk therapy. I had a whole team of coaches and therapists.
Yeah.
I was doing all of the things that we are taught to do in order to feel happy and to feel fulfilled. I was reading one personal development book every single month. I was exercising. I was eating healthy. I was doing all of the things, and my life came crashing down 5.5 years ago. I ended up finding out that my boyfriend at the time had checked himself into rehab for the 6th time in 1 year. I was hit with a potential cancer scare. I went $30,000 in debt in my business. All of these things started to crumble.
Wow.
And I was doing all of the things that we're all taught to do, right? I was going to traditional talk therapy. I was exercising. I was saying my morning affirmations. I was doing it all. And it was in that moment that I had a dear friend that said, I think that you need to start doing some nervous system work. And so I ended up hiring my first somatic therapist, and my entire world changed. I went from only dating alcoholics to having my first healthy relationship at 30. I turned my business around from 30K in debt to making 30K in 1 month, and I eradicated my cancer scare. So that's what led me into this space. And now I want other people to be able to have those same beautiful realizations and wake up to a really, really wonderful aligned life.
Oh my goodness, what a turnaround, what a testimony. And you just continue to share that beauty and that light, just really giving folks life and purpose and clarity in regards to what to listen to, what to pay attention to, and how to address that so you can live a fulfilled and purpose-filled life. I'm in love. I absolutely love that. You guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but don't you go anywhere. I need your face in the place, because when we return, I have some fire burning questions that I have set aside and curated for Lauren that I promise you don't want to miss. Stay tuned, everybody. You're watching The AM Show. Yes, that is our special guest for this morning, Miss Lauren Zoeller. She is a nervous mentor, somatic and nervous system mentor. And you guys, if you're just now tuning in, it's bittersweet. Bitter because you definitely just missed the first part of an incredible interview, but sweet because we have so many more great questions for Lauren. Okay, so Lauren, I scrubbed your socials, and not only do you teach us about the nervous system, just breaking down everything that the system feels and how it behaves and operates, but you also help people with relationships. You really, really do. So with that being said, why do people idolize relationships? What's your perspective on that? Because I've seen folks just really idolize and praise being in a relationship. Why?
Most people think that when they get into a relationship, they're going to feel a sense of completion. They're going to feel like this person has been the missing thing that they have been waiting for, and it's going to give them this deep sense of fulfillment and this deep sense of love. There's going to be some sort of level that they're going to achieve by coming into partnership. And the truth is, when we don't have that sense of deep fulfillment inside of ourselves, and we haven't actually learned what that feels like and know that we're worthy of love without someone, then it's really hard for us to feel fulfilled inside of partnership. And so this is why most people idolize it. They think that they're going to receive something when they get into partnership, but that's never actually the truth, right? We have to find that sense of wholeness inside of ourselves, outside of partnership.
That's so true. That's so true. People are always looking for other people to complete them. And I'm like, no, it's not a half plus a half equals a whole. No. You have to be whole, and she or he has to be whole. And that's how you can contribute and complement each other. That's when you're whole, the other person just comes in to echo what you already embody. And it takes a long time for folks to get there. Many people don't get there. Now, speaking of not getting there, in your scope of practice, right? You've been doing this for a while now. What is the most common mistake that folks make in romantic or platonic relationships?
Yeah. Well, I would say too, going back to the idolization piece too, this all kind of ties together. Most people will get into partnership to receive something that they didn't receive as a child from a primary caretaker. And let's say, again, if we go back to the example that I was using earlier, if you had a father who told you it wasn't okay to have big emotions and told you that it wasn't okay to cry, you shut down the ability to emote. And so we will subconsciously try to seek out someone that is like our father to win that approval from that person. And so one of the biggest mistakes that I see inside of partnership is that people aren't really looking at the way that they were raised. They weren't looking at the way that they were taught how to relate to themselves and to someone else. And they start to repeat these patterns that they learned as a child. All they're trying to do is win affection from a primary caregiver, and they're doing it inside of partnership. So if we don't look at the way that we were raised, and we don't look at the way that how we were raised affects our ability to relate to ourselves and other people, we will continue to hit roadblocks inside of relationships.
Oh, that's so true. Oh my God, Lauren, I see that. I've seen that manifest within myself, within my friendships. It's so true because your mom never validated you. Now you're looking for a girlfriend. Lauren, you know I'm telling the truth, or a wife and you're 42 and you're looking for You're looking for her to validate you and to esteem you, not just in your career. It could be your outfit. It could be your hairstyle. It could be a personality trait. It's like you're looking for acceptance and embrace. And I don't think that those two elements are bad. You are supposed to receive those, but from the right party. I don't think that you can date someone if you have to raise them.
Exactly. Exactly. And also, I mean, validation is important inside of a partnership. But when it is driving your ability to find happiness and joy and peace inside of yourself, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a really big problem.
So true. So true. Okay, so I have a few rapid questions for you, Lauren, because I really just need to know how our nervous system responds when we get in certain situations, because each situation is different. So in your experience, how does the nervous system respond to rejection?
So rejection, usually it can show up in different ways. Remember, the nervous system has 4 primary functions, and you can go into one or all 4 of these survival responses at any time. However, what I've normally seen with rejection is that people tend to shut down. They go into a freeze response. They shut down, they start to go into self-loathing. They feel like they're not good enough. They may start to ruminate inside of their brain of, okay, well, why did this happen? Maybe if I would have done this different, then this person would have accepted me. And the truth is, if someone rejects you, they're not for you. You don't want to be with them anyways. All they're saying is, hey, you're not in alignment with what I desire long-term. And I promise you that you don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you long-term.
It's so true. It's so true. Okay, I have to keep it going with like 2 or 3 more because it's therapy for me. This is a free therapy session. Lauren, how does our body respond to breadcrumbing? Because that's happened to me. I'm like, yeah, you're getting, Lauren, you know, girl, you're giving me just enough, right, to survive off of, just enough attention, just enough love, just enough validation to survive off of, but you're not giving me enough, you're not giving me a whole lot. No, it's not in mass production. Because you want me to keep coming back to you. It's manipulation. How does the nervous system respond to breadcrumbing?
So if you had a parental figure, if you had experiences in the past where you didn't feel like you knew your sense of worth, the body will normally go into a flight response, which means you will start to text them excessively or go out of your way to provide for them so that they will accept you, so that they will give you a sense of validation. So normally when we have breadcrumbing and there's a survival response attached to it, it is the flight response. We go into anxiety, we go into overdoing to prove that we are good enough for this person to choose us.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I've done that. I've forgiven myself for that, but I've done that. I took your rejection as an invitation to work harder. To gain your attention and your love even more. It's like, no, I'm not taking opportunities like that again. I'm done. If you show me you don't want me, you don't have to show me again. I'm done. I love that. Now, speaking of being done, when should we leave a relationship? When do we realize, okay, wait a minute, now it's time to exit stage left?
I would say when you recognize that your nervous system and your body is in survival more than safety. So if you find yourself in a space of feeling constant anxiety, constant dread, feeling like you can't communicate with the person, or you shut down your voice, you can't ask for what you need, and this becomes your primary baseline, and you've tried to communicate with this person, you both have tried to find resolve, if you feel like that's the space that you're in, you need to exit stage left. It's time to go, because there is someone out there for you that can give you that sense of safety and peace that you want to feel as your primary baseline inside of the partnership.
I love that. I love that. You mentioned on Instagram, every time we chase love, we abandon ourselves. Elaborate.
Yeah, so we just talked about breadcrumbing. We just talked about what happens when you feel rejection. Every single time you go into a survival response, you go into flight, you go into anxiety, you go into this space of chasing, you're actually discounting your own worth. Because the truth is this: someone who fully accepts you won't make you chase them. There is a reality that does exist where safe, healthy, intimate, conscious partnership feels really safe and peaceful. But most people get addicted to the high that comes with chasing. So when you can start to recognize this and get curious about it, you can start to shift the way that partnership shows up for you.
Yeah. And speaking of partnership, how do we spot a man or a woman we can depend on? You talk about that as well on your Instagram.
Yeah. Well, you first need to learn what it feels like to know safety in your own body. Then, when you start to get out into the dating world, you can use this as a litmus test. When you go on a date with someone, ask yourself, does this person make me feel safe? Do I actually feel a sense of peace around this person? If the answer is no, and your nervous system is in a high state of anxiety or a high state of fight, or you feel like you're frozen and shut down, that's giving you a really good indicator that your nervous system isn't safe with this person and you probably shouldn't proceed forward.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I've been there too many times. Now, Lauren, talk about your 3-day intensive entitled Miracle. What is that all about?
Yeah, so Miracle is one of my favorite intensives that I lead. It is $11. You can come, you can join. You'll learn all about the nervous system and how you can start to learn the language of your nervous system to create a life of miracles. So whether you are wanting to call in more wealth into your life, you're wanting to call in a deeper partnership. If you're in partnership, you want to deepen that relationship with one another. You want to turn your health around. I'm going to show you how to do this in my 3-day intensive Miracle. I'm going to teach you how to learn the language of your nervous system so that you can start to become a magnet for abundance and miracles in your life.
I love that. I absolutely love the title because I think that we really are in an emotional and in a mental climate where people really desire change. They desire change. It's like practicality meeting partnership. They don't know how to get there. So they need a liaison, a bridge, a mentor like yourself to really help them get over to the other side where liberty and joy is accessible to them. It's actually assigned to them. You mentioned something on your Instagram. It was very deep. And you posted a quote. It reads, "Here is why you aren't where you want to be yet. And it's because what you desire and how you show up are on 2 different frequencies." Get into that.
Yeah. So this may be a sucker punch for some people, but I love talking about this. If you take a look around you right now, everything that's in your current reality is a reflection of a frequency that you have chosen. This means that you have created the current reality that you're sitting in. And everything that you desire has a frequency that is attached to it. Now, here's the kicker. The frequency that you choose comes from how safe you feel inside of your nervous system. If you do not have a life that feels truly alive and aligned and abundant and wealthy, it is because your nervous system is choosing fear, the frequency of fear, over the frequency of love. And it's going to feel really impossible to shift into the frequency of love if your nervous system is operating out of survival. So we have to learn the language of our nervous system. We have to come into recognizing what it feels like to feel into love. so that we can be in that space more and start to attract from that space. Your reality is a reflection of your most predominant frequency, and your frequency is determined by your nervous system. So if you can grasp this, you can start to shift your life in drastic ways.
I love that. I love that. You also mentioned on your, I know I have about a minute or two left with you. I mean, you're so knowledgeable. This really resonated with me. It really pierced me. On your Instagram, you quoted that we have to let go and decide. Let go and decide. Why is that so hard to do?
Because deciding what it is that you want requires that you get really still and know yourself.
Yeah.
And so many people have lived the majority of their life by what other people tell them that they should be doing. So in order to get really clear on what you want for yourself, you're going to have to reconnect to your source, to your soul, to the reason that you are here. And that can feel really difficult if you grew up living your life based on what everybody else told you should be doing.
It's so true. It's so true. And Lauren, my last question, because I know you know the answer and I struggle with this. Lauren, how do we deal with people who project and people who are judgmental just in our regular day-to-day life, Lauren? Our husband, our wife, your friend, your mother, whoever it is, a coworker. I mean, I hope it isn't these people. But honestly, Lauren, how do we deal with those folks who really project, right, their fear and insecurities onto us and who judge us?
Yeah. Well, you've got to work on your boundaries. That's the very first thing that you've really got to get really solid and clear on, is having really strong boundaries within yourself. But that requires that you know yourself deep enough to be able to A, use your voice to set those boundaries, and B, keep them. Keep the consequences associated with boundaries when someone breaks them or tries to tiptoe past the line of the boundary. And that can feel really difficult if you don't have a sense of peace and safety inside of your system. So again, it comes all the way back around to nervous system work. Start to do the work to know safety within your own body so that you can start to set boundaries and actually keep them with other people.
I love that. Set them and keep them no matter how uncomfortable that might be. Oh my gosh, you are incredible. You are incredible, and I thank you so much. Now, Lauren, tell our viewers where they can follow and find you on social media, and maybe tell them maybe one passion project or anything that you're working on. What do you have coming up?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, at Lauren Zoeller. So just at my first name and last name. You can also find me at laurenzoeller.com. I'm on TikTok as Coach Lauren Zoeller. I'm all over the place. You can just Google me and find me. As far as a passion project is concerned, I'm actually working on a book. So I have a book that's going to be coming out next year, which I'm really excited about.
Wow.
And I'll be announcing everything surrounding the book and how you can get your pre-order copy on my Instagram page. So make sure that you follow me there.
Oh my goodness. I am so proud. I'm so proud and so excited for everything that you have your hands in. You are really, really making great change, helping people to live again. Why don't y'all show y'all love for Miss Lauren Zoeller? Lauren, thank you so much for joining me this morning on the AM show. You were flat out fantastic, and I am excited about keeping our relationship going off air. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, girl. It was great.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care. Fantastic. That was Lauren Zoeller, everybody. Incredible. Be sure to follow her on all of her social media platforms. I promise you, you will not regret it. All right, y'all, we're going to head on over to a quick commercial break, but don't you go anywhere because we have so much more of the AM show when we return. Stay tuned.